Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment when everything around you seemed impossible, when life hit you so hard that you felt like staying down? We've all been there, but here's the truth. You are never stuck. You are never broken. You are only in the wrong state, and the moment you change your state, you change your life. We all carry within us an energy, a power, a fire, but most people let that fire smolder because they've been conditioned to operate from a place of fear, doubt, or fatigue. They walk around like zombies, heads down, shoulders slouched, breath shallow, and they wonder why they feel depressed, angry, unmotivated. It's not their circumstances, it's not the economy, it's not their past. It's their state. You see, your emotional state, your mental and physical condition in this very moment, controls your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. So how do you shift? How do you go from feeling stuck to feeling unstoppable? It starts with physiology, yes, your body. If you want to change the way you feel, you have to change the way you move. Motion equals emotion. When you stand tall, breathe deep, move with certainty. You send signals to your brain that say, I'm in control. You cannot be depressed while dancing. You cannot be anxious while jumping, shouting, or laughing with power. Try this. Right now, stand up. Shake your arms out. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Put a smile on your face, even if you don't feel like it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between fake and real when it comes to emotion. It reacts to the signals you send. You don't wait to feel confident. You move like you're confident. You speak like it. And your feelings catch up. The second force is focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. You can focus on what's missing, what's painful, or what's wrong. Or you can focus on what's working, what's possible, and what you're grateful for. Two people can be in the same situation. One breaks, the other breaks through. The difference, focus right now. What are you focusing on? Are you focused on what you can't control, or what you can? On the problems or the solutions? On the past or the power you hold right now, because you get what you focus on. You train your mind to look for patterns, and it will find them. If you focus on fear, you'll see reasons to be afraid. If you focus on faith, you'll see opportunities to grow. Your mind is a powerful weapon, but only if you aim it properly. Next, language. The words you use shape your reality. Words are not just descriptions. They are commands. Say, I'm pissed, and your body tenses up. Say, I'm a little frustrated, and the storm calms down. Say, I'm exhausted, and you slump. Say, I need to recharge, and suddenly your mind sees possibility. What language are you using every day to define yourself? Are you saying, I'm not good enough, or I'm becoming stronger every day? Are you saying, this is the worst thing ever, or this is my training ground? The words you speak become the beliefs you live by. Choose them wisely. And then there's one more thing. Standards. If you want to change your life permanently, you can't just dip your toes in motivation once in a while. You need to raise your standards. What you tolerate, you accept. What you accept, you become. Change doesn't come from wanting it. It comes from deciding, this is who I am now. This is what I stand for. This is what I will no longer settle for. When you raise your standards, you raise your identity. And when you change your identity, you change your actions. You no longer try to eat healthy. You are a healthy person. You no longer hope to be confident. You are confidence in motion. You no longer wish for success. You demand it from yourself every single day. That's what changing your state really means. It means taking back the steering wheel of your mind, your body, and your emotions. It means stepping out of the storm and realizing you were the sky all along. So whenever you feel stuck, lost, or overwhelmed, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask instead, how can I shift my state right now? Stand up, breathe, move, focus on something empowering, speak life into your soul. Remind yourself that you are not your emotions. You are the creator of your emotional state. When you own your state, you own your decisions. When you own your decisions, you own your direction. When you own your direction, You own your destiny. No more waiting, no more excuses, no more blaming. You have the tools, you have the strength, you have the power. It's been there all along, so let today be the day. The day you stop reacting and start creating. The day you stop surviving and start leading. The day you stop shrinking and start rising. Change your state, and you will change your story. Change your story, and you will change your life. The world is not waiting for the perfect you. It's waiting for the real you, the one who chooses to rise, to lead, and to become more, and it all starts now. Motion creates emotion. Change your body, and you change your mind. That's not just a motivational line, it's a physiological truth. Your body is the most immediate tool you have to interrupt a negative pattern, to shift your emotional state, and to access power you didn't even realize you had. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling tired, unmotivated, uncertain, your body reflects it. Shoulders are slouched, breathing is shallow, your facial muscles are tense or blank. That posture sends a signal to your nervous system that says, we're in a low state. And so your brain complies. It gives you thoughts that match the energy of your body. You feel stuck, even if nothing has actually changed. But the incredible part is that the reverse is also true. If you shift the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you hold yourself, you can disrupt that emotional pattern in an instant. You can access energy, drive, clarity, and strength, because those feelings are tied to physical signals. When you take control of your body, you're taking control of the remote to your brain. It's like flipping a switch. You can go from anxious to calm by just slowing your breath and lifting your chest. You can go from doubt to confidence by grounding your feet, looking up, breathing deep, and moving with power. It's not theory. It's how your nervous system works. Think about the difference between someone walking into a room with slumped posture, eyes down, arms crossed, barely moving, versus someone who walks in tall, open, energetic. The second person commands presence, not because they said anything, but because their body was already communicating certainty and strength. You don't need words to shift your energy. You need movement. You need action. You need to interrupt the loop that keeps playing in your head with something that speaks louder than your thoughts, your physiology. Every emotion has a posture. Every mood has a rhythm. You can't feel angry in the same way if your body is relaxed. You can't feel joy if you're locked in place. But the moment you jump, dance, move your arms wide, breathe in fully, your state begins to shift. You might not believe it until you do it, but once you experience the difference, you'll understand how much power you really have. Most people wait to feel good to move. They wait for motivation before they act. But the truth is, it's movement that creates motivation. You move like you're powerful, and power shows up. You move like you have confidence, and it begins to grow. It's about conditioning your body to lead your mind, rather than the other way around. Because if you leave it up to your mind when you're in a low state, it will feed you stories that hold you down, but your body doesn't lie, it responds to action. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment. You don't have to figure it all out, you just need to move, stand up, stretch your arms to the sky, take 10 strong breaths, shout with power, sprint in place, do something that shakes your system awake. Break the pattern, shock the system, because when you move, you're sending a new message to your brain. We're not staying stuck. We're not staying small. We are stepping into a new level, and your brain will follow. It's wired to listen. Your nervous system is listening. You are the director. You are the controller, and the tool is always available to you. You don't need money. You don't need a plan. You just need to move. Move with strength. Move with intensity. Move with passion. Use your body to create energy when you feel none. Use your movement to change the channel of your thoughts. This is how leaders lead themselves before they lead others. This is how champions turn fear into fuel. This is how you rise when your mind tells you to stay down. This is how motion creates emotion, and how you use it to create momentum anytime, anywhere, on command. Where focus goes, energy flows directed with intention. Your focus is the master key to how you experience the world, and yet most people give it away without realizing it. Every moment, Your brain is being bombarded with millions of bits of information, and your focus decides what actually gets in. It acts like a filter, and what you focus on becomes your reality. If you focus on what's missing, you feel lack. If you focus on what's possible, you feel potential. If you focus on fear, you live in fear. If you focus on progress, you feel momentum. The direction of your life follows the direction of your dominant thoughts. It's not magic, it's how the human brain is wired. Your mind will always find evidence to support whatever you choose to focus on, whether it's pain or power. Focus is like a muscle, and most people have let it grow weak by allowing distractions to run the show. Notifications, noise, negativity, they pull your attention in 1,000 directions until you feel scattered, overwhelmed, and unproductive. But the truth is, the most powerful people in the world aren't necessarily smarter than you. They just know how to master their focus. They know how to lock in on what matters and eliminate what doesn't. They don't just react. They decide what to give their energy to, because energy is limited, and wherever you place it, that area grows. Focus on your problems and they'll feel bigger. Focus on solutions and you'll start seeing possibilities. Your emotional state is tied directly to your focus. Two people can go through the exact same situation. One sees a breakdown, the other sees a breakthrough. The difference isn't in the event, it's in the focus. If you constantly focus on what's out of your control, you will feel helpless. But if you shift your attention to what you can control, your attitude, your actions, your effort, you start to feel empowered. The power was always there, it was just buried beneath misplaced focus. You can retrain your brain to focus on what strengthens you. Start your day by focusing on what you're grateful for. Focus on the goals that light you up, not the doubts that pull you down. Focus on the people who lift you higher, not the ones who drain you. What you focus on determines what you feel, what you believe, what you do, and ultimately, who you become. Every breakthrough begins with a shift in focus. When you catch yourself spiraling into frustration, pause and ask, what am I focusing on right now? Am I focused on what's wrong or what's possible? Am I focused on what I lack or what I can give? Your focus acts like a spotlight. It brightens whatever it's aimed at. And you are the one holding the light. You get to choose what to illuminate. The world around you isn't changing every second. Your focus is. And with each shift, your reality shifts with it. That's how powerful it is. You are constantly building a story in your head based on what you choose to focus on. And stories drive behavior. If your story is built on fear, your life shrinks. If your story is built on courage, your life expands. Mastering your focus isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing the difference between what deserves your attention and what drains it. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about choosing to see past them. It's about becoming aware of where your thoughts are going and pulling them back to what empowers you. You can focus on setbacks or comebacks. You can focus on limitations or growth. You can focus on excuses or action. The choice is yours, and the result is exponential. Your focus is the fuel that powers your life. What you water grows. What you feed multiplies. What you aim at, you move toward. And every time you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your direction. Language shapes identity. Speak power into your life. The words you use every single day are not just descriptions of what's happening. They're the blueprint of how you see yourself and the world. Most people speak without realizing the weight their language carries. They say things like, I'm tired, I'm not good at this, I always mess things up, and then wonder why they feel defeated, disconnected, or discouraged. But what they're really doing is reinforcing an identity with every word they speak. Your nervous system listens to the language you use, it absorbs it, it accepts it as truth, and the more you repeat those patterns of speech, the more you condition your mind to believe that's who you are. There's a difference between saying I failed and saying I am a failure. One describes a moment, the other defines your identity. That one shift in language is the difference between someone who gets back up and someone who stays down. People don't realize how often they are hypnotizing themselves with their own words. When you say something enough, even as a joke, it becomes your internal narrative. That narrative becomes belief, and belief becomes behavior. So if you constantly say, I can't, then you won't. If you constantly say, this always happens to me, then your brain will look for ways to confirm that belief. You'll notice all the times it didn't work, all the times you were hurt, all the evidence that proves your story right. Not because it's reality, but because your language shaped your lens. But just like language can limit you, it can also liberate you. Change the words, and you change the meaning. You don't have to lie to yourself. You have to reframe. Instead of I'm stuck, try I'm getting ready to break through. Instead of this is hard, try this is training me to be stronger. Instead of I always fail, try I'm learning faster than ever before. These may seem like small shifts, but they create massive emotional change. Because when you speak words of power, your body responds, your mind gets sharper, your decisions become bolder. You start to align with a higher version of yourself simply by the way you speak to yourself, and others' language also affects how you handle challenge. Some people say, I'm devastated, when they're just disappointed. Others say, I'm crushed, when they're simply uncomfortable. Those exaggerated words turn small problems into emotional earthquakes. But if you shift your vocabulary, you reduce the drama and reclaim control. Say, I'm facing a challenge, instead of I'm falling apart. Say, I'm adjusting, instead of I'm failing. You're not diluting the experience. You're directing it. You're choosing language that empowers rather than weakens. That's how leaders speak. That's how game changers think. Not because life is easier for them, but because they've learned to use language as a tool, not a trap. Even the way you talk about the future shapes your energy. Saying I hope or I wish gives away your power, but saying I will, I'm creating, I'm becoming, puts you in the driver's seat. The subconscious mind doesn't understand future versus present. It hears the tone of certainty. So, when you declare your goals with power, your mind starts searching for ways to make them real. Speak your vision into existence. Speak your identity into alignment. Use affirmations not as empty slogans, but as conscious declarations of who you choose to be. Your speaking reality into being every day, whether you realize it or not. Every word is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. And once you raise your level of language, you raise the standard of your life. The shift isn't outside you. It starts in your vocabulary. It starts in your conversations. It starts in those little moments where you choose whether to criticize or coach yourself, whether to tear down or build up, whether to react or to rise. You are not just describing your life. You are designing it with every word you speak. Your state controls your decisions, and decisions shape your destiny. Every choice you've ever made was influenced by the emotional, mental, and physical state you were in at the moment. When you're in a powerful, resourceful state, you make bold decisions, you take ownership, you act with clarity and certainty. But when you're in a low, uncertain, or fearful state, you hesitate, you doubt, and you either make weak decisions or avoid making them altogether. That's why two people can face the same challenge and have completely different outcomes, not because of their skills, not because of their intelligence, but because of the state they were operating from when it was time to decide. State is the foundation. It determines whether you rise to the occasion or retreat from it, and state is something you can control. You don't have to wait for it. You don't have to hope for it. You can change it in an instant, and when you do, you change the quality of your decisions. Every major turning point in your life began with a decision, a moment where you said, I've had enough, or I'm going for it, or this ends now. Those decisions didn't come from your head alone. They came from a place of emotional leverage, from a heightened state where you were clear on what mattered most. That's why people often make their biggest breakthroughs in moments of intensity, because the state breaks the pattern and the decision becomes a line in the sand. Decisions made from fear lead to limitation. Decisions made from courage lead to transformation. But you can't access courage unless you first shift your state. If you're tired, drained, disconnected, you won't make the decision to rise. You'll rationalize, procrastinate, or shrink your vision. But if you get into a peak state, if you activate energy in your body, clarity in your focus, and power in your language, suddenly the decision feels not only possible, it feels necessary. You move from should to must, and everything begins to change. Every day, you are faced with decisions, big and small, and every one of them moves you closer to your destiny or further from it. Most people drift through those decisions in a reactive state, letting emotions, circumstances, or other people dictate their direction. But when you take control of your state, you take control of the steering wheel. You stop drifting, you start designing. You don't just make decisions based on what's comfortable, but based on what's right for your growth. And you don't back down when it gets hard, because you made the decision in a powerful state, not a weak one. Think about the quality of decisions you've made in a negative state, when you were stressed, angry, jealous, or afraid. Those decisions were probably defensive, short-sighted, or disempowering. Now compare that to the decisions you made when you felt confident, inspired, or grateful. Those were the moments you stepped into leadership. Those were the moments you trusted your vision. The contrast is undeniable. The state you're in becomes the filter through which you judge risk, opportunity, relationships, and even your own identity. Change the filter and everything looks different. The good news is you don't have to wait for the perfect conditions to make the right decision. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to get into a better state before you choose. That means taking 5 minutes to move your body, change your breath, redirect your focus, upgrade your language. Because if you make a decision in a disempowered state, you'll likely regret it or reverse it. But if you condition yourself to raise your energy first, to align with who you want to be, the decision you make will come from strength, not scarcity. It will come from the future you, not the fearful you. And those are the decisions that shape the course of your life in ways you can't yet imagine. Raise your standards, and your life will rise to meet them. Every result you have right now is a direct reflection of the standards you've accepted for yourself. If you expect average, you'll settle for average. If you tolerate stress, chaos, excuses, or inconsistency, they will multiply in your life. But when you raise the bar on what's acceptable to you, when you declare that certain behaviors, thoughts, and results are no longer okay, everything begins to shift. Not because the world changes, but because you've changed the rules of what you allow and what you demand from yourself. The moment you say no more, and truly mean it, you set a new baseline for your life. Standards are not goals. Goals are things you hope to reach. Standards are the minimum level you commit to living at. They're not about what you want. They're about what you insist on. Most people have dreams, but their standards don't match those dreams. They say they want financial freedom, but their standard is comfort. They say they want love and connection, but their standard is to settle just to avoid being alone. When your standards are lower than your desires, you live in frustration. But when your standards rise, your behaviors change automatically. You start doing what needs to be done, not because it's easy, but because anything less is no longer acceptable. Every break through begins with a moment of decision, but it's solidified through a new standard. You don't just decide to get healthy, you raise the standard of what health means to you. You don't just decide to build confidence, you raise the standard of how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you treat your own potential. High standards pull you toward your highest self. They act like a magnet, drawing in people, opportunities, and experiences that match your new level of energy and commitment. And they push away everything that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Raising your standards also means taking full ownership. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop blaming the economy, your past, your boss, your family, or your environment. You say, "This is my life and I'm going to lead it." That level of ownership is rare and it's powerful, because once you realize that your standards are a choice, you take back the pen, you become the author again. And you start rewriting the story into one that reflects your true values and vision. You no longer tolerate old patterns, old excuses, or temporary emotions. You make your vision non-negotiable. The people who thrive, the ones who lead, the ones who build legacies, they all have something in common. They live by elevated standards. Not because they were born that way, but because they made a decision at some point that they would never again settle for less than they are capable of. That's a decision you can make at any moment. You can raise the standard of how you treat your body, how you manage your time, how you lead in relationships, how you show up in the world. And once that new standard is set, you build the habits to support it. You may fall, you may slip, but you'll always return to that new level. Because it's who you are now, this isn't about perfection. It's about elevation. It's about upgrading your identity by upgrading what you expect from yourself. People around you will feel the shift. They'll see you stop settling. They'll notice how you speak differently, move differently, think differently, and not everyone will be comfortable with your growth. That's okay, because when you raise your standards, you also raise your filters. You start protecting your energy. You stop engaging in things that no longer serve the higher version of you. You realize that life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're willing to tolerate. And when you tolerate less, you attract more of what you truly deserve.